London's property market just hit a milestone. The average home price crossed £550,000 in early 2026, another record. Headlines celebrate it. Investors quote it. But here's what nobody's mentioning. Across 10 specific areas in this city, prices aren't climbing. They're dropping. Hard. Sellers are panicking, slashing asking prices by tens of thousands. Homes that should sell in weeks are gathering dust for months. And the buyers? They've vanished like someone who said they'd text back. This isn't speculation about what might happen. This is happening right now, today, in neighborhoods where people thought their property values were bulletproof. The citywide average hides what's really going on street by street, postcode by postcode. We're counting down 10 London areas where the property crash is already underway. If you own here, you need this information. If you're buying, you really need this information. Croydon kicks off our list, and honestly, it's been coming. This South London borough spent years trying to rebrand itself as the next big thing. New tram lines, shiny office towers, Westfield shopping centre. The pitch was simple. Croydon would become a genuine alternative to central London, but cheaper. Investors believed it. Developers built thousands of flats. Prices climbed steadily through the 2000s and 10s. Then reality arrived. Nearly 19% of properties currently listed in Croydon have had price reductions. That's almost 1 in 5 sellers admitting they aimed too high. The average time a property sits on the market has stretched to 87 days, up from 52 last year. Croydon's problem is supply. Developers built so many new flats that the market's drowning in inventory. Walk through East Croydon and count the for sale signs. You'll run out of fingers. When everyone's selling and nobody's buying at your price, mathematics takes over. Those shiny new builds that were supposed to attract young professionals, many are still empty, and the developers are quietly offering incentives that weren't mentioned in the original brochures. The council's financial troubles haven't helped Croydon's image either. When your local authority effectively goes bankrupt, twice people notice. Buyers start wondering about future council tax rises and service cuts. Suddenly, that bargain flat doesn't look quite so appealing when the bins aren't getting collected and the local library's closing. Croydon isn't finished, but it overbuilt and overestimated demand. The correction is painful for anyone who bought in the last 3 years expecting steady appreciation. Coming in at number 9 is Tower Hamlets. This borough is home to the glittering towers of Canary Wharf, the very symbol of London's financial might. But look past the glass and steel, and you'll find a residential market that's starting to freeze over. Currently, nearly 18% of active listings in Tower Hamlets have seen price reductions. The problem here is a massive buy-to-let hangover. For years, developers flooded the area with luxury one-bedroom apartments designed for young professionals and overseas investors. But with high interest rates and the rise of remote work, that endless stream of buyers has slowed to a trickle. Now, owners are finding themselves stuck in a supply glut. When there are 5 identical flats for sale in your building and 0 buyers at your asking price, the only way out is down. Tower Hamlets is proving that being close to the money doesn't mean your property is a safe bet anymore. Barking and Dagenham takes the 8th spot with a fascinating case study in what happens when regeneration doesn't regenerate fast enough. This East London borough was supposed to be the next Stratford, new Elizabeth Line stations, massive housing developments, film studios, the works. Prices jumped based on the promise of transformation, but promises and reality operate on different timelines. Property values have declined 3.7% year over year according to recent data. The percentage of listings with price cuts sits above 21%. Days on market average 94, which in London terms might as well be a geological epoch. Buyers are staying away, and sellers are learning an expensive lesson about buying on potential rather than actuality. The film studios did arrive. Eastbrook Studios opened in Proddy. Auctions are filming there. But that hasn't translated into the residential boom everyone expected. Turns out film crews don't necessarily want to live next to where they work. The Elizabeth Line stations help, but Barking to Liverpool Street is still a solid commute, and the areas immediately around the stations haven't gentrified at the predicted speed. Parts of Barking feel genuinely rough around the edges still, which is fine if that's priced in. It's not fine if you paid regeneration prices for an area that's only partially regenerated. The property developers who built hundreds of identical flats are now competing with each other for the same small pool of buyers. When 3 identical developments launch within half a mile of each other, someone's going to lose that game. Currently, all 3 are losing. Ilford lands at number 7, and this one stings because Ilford actually has good bones. Crossrail station, decent shopping, multiple transport links, reasonable schools. On paper, it should be holding steady. Instead, it's sliding. Over 20% of active listings have seen price reductions. The median price has dropped 4.1% in 12 months. Properties that would have sparked bidding wars in 2021 now sit with reduced tags on Rightmove for weeks. What went wrong? Ilford got caught in the affordability squeeze from both directions. It's not cheap enough to be the value option anymore, but it's not nice enough to justify the prices it reached during the pandemic boom. People who can afford £450,000 are looking at areas with better reputations. People with smaller budgets are finding cheaper options further out in Essex. Ilford's stuck in the middle, and the middle is not where you want to be in a correcting market. The local retail scene hasn't helped. The high road has too many empty shops and too many chicken shops. That's not snobbery, it's just market reality. Buyers notice these things. They walk down the main street, see 3 bookies and a vape shop where there used to be actual retail, and they adjust their offer downward, or they don't make an offer at all. The rental market in Ilford is holding up better than sales, which tells you something. People will rent here because it's practical and connected. They won't buy here at current prices because they don't believe the value will hold. When your rental market outperforms your sales market, you're watching confidence evaporate in real time. Newham claims the 6th position, which surprises some people because Stratford sits inside Newham and Stratford's supposed to be thriving. But Newham is big, and Stratford's success hasn't spread evenly across the borough. Head east from Stratford toward Canning Town or north toward Manor Park, and you'll find a very different market. Price reductions are appearing on over 22% of listings. Year-over-year values are down nearly 4%. The issue is oversupply combined with affordability limits. Newham saw absolutely massive development over the past decade. Thousands upon thousands of new flats, many of them built on the assumption that Stratford's Olympic glow would radiate outward indefinitely. It didn't. The glow stopped at the borough boundary, and now developers are stuck trying to shift 1-bedroom flats in areas that don't have Stratford's infrastructure or reputation. Canning Town got Crossrail, which helped, but it also got a lot of luxury flats marketed to buyers who took one look at the surrounding area and went elsewhere. When your glossy brochure promises urban sophistication, but the view from the balcony includes an industrial estate and a cash converters, the cognitive dissonance is hard to ignore. Newham has some of the most affordable property in inner London, which sounds great until you realize affordable doesn't mean desirable. It means people buy here because they can't afford anywhere else. And the second they can afford somewhere else, they leave. That's not a sustainable property market. That's a holding pattern. The borough has high crime rates, struggling schools in certain areas, and a general sense that it's still waiting for its moment. Some parts might get that moment eventually. Others might be waiting a very long time. Enfield takes 5th place. And this one's interesting because Enfield is massive and incredibly varied. You've got areas like Enfield town that are genuinely pleasant, and then you've got Edmonton, which is not. The borough as a whole is seeing reductions on about 18% of listings, with values slipping 3.8% year over year. The problem is that Enfield stretched too far during the boom. Developers looked at zones 4 and 5, saw decent transport links, and assumed buyers would flood in. Some did, most didn't. And the ones who did are now wondering if they overpaid. The northern parts of Enfield feel properly suburban, almost like you've left London entirely. That works for some buyers, particularly families wanting space and greenery. But when you're paying London prices for what feels like Hertfordshire living, the value proposition gets murky, especially when actual Hertfordshire is right there and often cheaper. Enfield also suffers from a bit of an identity crisis. It's not quite London, not quite home counties, not quite anywhere specific enough to have a strong brand. That vagueness works against it when buyers are making emotional decisions about where to live. Transport helps, but it's not enough. You can get to King's Cross in 30 minutes from Enfield town, which is decent, but 30 minutes on a train isn't the same as feeling connected to London. You're commuting in, not living in, and buyers increasingly want to feel like they're actually part of the city they're paying London prices to live in. Enfield doesn't quite deliver that feeling, and the market is reflecting it. Havering lands at number 4, and if you just said, "Where's that?" you're proving the point. Havering sits on the far eastern edge of Greater London, bordering Essex, and most Londoners couldn't place it on a map with a gun to their head. Romford is the main town, and it's seeing price cuts on over 19% of active listings. Values are down 4.2%, and the general mood in the market is one of quiet resignation. People bought here thinking it was the next frontier. Turns out it's just Essex with a London postcode. Havering marketed itself as affordable family, living with good schools and easy access to the countryside. All of that's true. It's also true that it feels completely disconnected from anything resembling London culture or energy. You're closer to Chelmsford than you are to Shoreditch, and that geographical reality is finally catching up with the pricing. Why pay London stamp duty and London council tax to live somewhere that feels nothing like London? The Elizabeth line reaches Romford, which helped initially, but Crossrail didn't magically transform Romford into somewhere people aspire to live. It just made it easier to leave. And that's exactly what's happening. People are using Romford as a base to commute into town, but they're not building lives there. The high street is struggling, the local economy is flat, and the property market is discovering that connectivity alone doesn't create value if there's no reason to actually stay in the place you're connected from. Bexley takes the third spot, and this is where things get properly bleak. Bexley is suburban, conservative, quiet, and currently watching its property market deflate like a sad balloon at a child's birthday party 3 days after the event. Over 21% of listings have had prices reduced. Year over year, values are down 4.9%. That's nearly 5% gone in 12 months, which for most homeowners represents their entire equity disappearing into the void. Bexley's problem is simple. It offered nothing except affordability, and now it's not even particularly affordable anymore. During the pandemic, people paid premium prices to live here because they needed space and gardens. Now that the panic has subsided, they're looking around and realizing they paid £500,000 to live in Bexley Heath. That's not a great feeling. The area has limited culture, limited nightlife, limited anything except residential streets and the occasional Wetherspoons. That's fine if you're paying accordingly. It's not fine if you paid 2021 prices. Transport links are okay, but not great. You can get to Cannon Street, but it takes 45 minutes and requires you to care about getting to Cannon Street, which is a niche interest. The local economy is small, employment options are limited. Most people who live here work elsewhere, which means the area empties out during the day and becomes a dormitory town. Dormitory towns don't hold value when the initial rush of buyers dries up. Sutton claims second place with a 5.1% annual decline and price reductions appearing on nearly 23% of listings. Sutton thought it was clever sitting on the border with Surrey, offering suburban family life with a London postcode. Turns out buyers would rather just live in actual Surrey and skip the London tax entirely. Sutton has decent schools and green spaces, but so does everywhere else at this price point. The market's not subtle when it's correcting. 20% price reductions don't happen because sellers are feeling generous. They happen because reality arrived with a sledgehammer and started knocking down the fantasy valuations people built during the pandemic. These 10 areas aren't anomalies, they're warnings. London's average price might be hitting records, but averages lie beautifully. They smooth out the disasters and make everything look fine from a distance. Up close, in these specific postcodes, things are decidedly not fine. If you bought in any of these areas in the last 3 years expecting steady appreciation, you're learning an expensive lesson about timing and location. If you're looking to buy and you've got patience, these areas might represent opportunity. Might. Or they might keep sliding. Nobody rings a bell at the bottom. The only certainty is that the gap between what sellers want and what buyers will pay is widening by the week, and something's got to give. Usually, it's the seller's asking price, their timeline, and their optimism in that order. The London property market isn't crashing everywhere, but in these 10 areas, it's absolutely crashing somewhere, and somewhere is exactly where some of you live. And finally, we've reached the top spot. The place where nobody ever thought they'd see a for sale sign stay up for more than a week, Kensington and Chelsea. While the outer boroughs are slashing prices by £20,000 or £30,000, here in the heart of prime central London, we're seeing hundreds of thousands being wiped off valuations in a single move. The wealthiest borough in the country is facing a brutal reality check. Luxury apartments, those trophy assets bought by international capital, are flooding the market as the smart money quietly moves elsewhere. Real-time data reveals a massive annual slide in the flat segment, with prices down nearly 7% in specific elite postcodes, and over 25% of all active listings in the borough have been slashed. Why is the top of the pyramid crumbling? Because the yields no longer make sense. With high borrowing costs, international investors are shifting their wealth to faster-growing markets like Dubai or Miami.